Mary quickly pulled the arrows from her body just before she too was captured. On July 31st, 1865, the Fletcher family arrived near the Rock Creek Station, Wyoming, a couple miles ahead of the wagon train they were traveling with, because their wagons were pulled by horses, which were faster than the oxen teams that the rest of the wagons were using. Jasper Fletcher was setting up camp and turning out the horses with the help of his 3 young sons, while his wife and daughters walked down to the creek a few hundred yards away. 17-year-old daughter Amanda Mary was holding her mother's hand and carrying her young sister, Lizzie, who was not quite 2, in her other arm, when 200 Cheyenne dog soldiers appeared from the ravines ahead. It was the first Indians any of them had ever seen, and they were riding hard toward them with war paint on and yelling wildly. The girls froze in their tracks at the sight, and then a spear pierced the mother's head. As she fell to the ground, the older daughter Mary turned and started for the family wagons. She was hit by a couple arrows as her little sister was pulled from her. Mary quickly pulled the arrows from her body just before she too was captured. Seeing what was happening, Jasper yelled to his sons to run back to the wagon train, which they were able to do without being seen. Jasper, however, was hit in the arm with an arrow as he fled into a nearby ravine. The Cheyenne were unconcerned about the fleeing Jasper as they turned their attention to capturing the horses and the looting and destroying of his wagons. The boys make it back to the wagon train, and the train hunkers down for an Indian attack that never happens. The next day they proceed to the attack site and bury Mrs. Fletcher and are unable to find anyone else. Figuring the boys are orphans, eventually the boys are handed over to an eastbound wagon train to be delivered to the friends of the family in Illinois. 2 days after the attack, a wounded Jasper Fletcher is found by another westbound wagon train and stays with them until Salt Lake City, where he contacts the military at Camp Douglas. Fletcher has lost everything, his family and possessions, and it begins to take a toll on him both physically and mentally. Word finally reaches him that his boys are safe in Denver. Several months after the attack, the boys are reunited with their father in Salt Lake City. The evening of the attack is the last Mary saw her little sister Lizzie. She is told that the infant was killed. Mary is taken to a Cheyenne village where the Indian women are especially cruel and brutal to her. 7 months later, near Fort Dodge, Mary makes herself known to a white trader visiting the village, for which she is beaten by her captors. He bargains everything he had brought with him to trade for the purchase of the white girl and quickly moves her to a nearby Arapaho village before the Cheyenne can change their minds about the deal. Thinking all of her family is dead, she makes her way back to Illinois, and a year later she marries and moves to Iowa. Seeing a news article of Mary's wedding and captivity, Jasper learns that his oldest daughter is alive. He corresponds with her and tries to arrange for her to travel to Salt Lake City, but Mary refuses to try another trip across the plains in wagon or coach. 3 years later, she travels by railroad and is reunited with her father and brothers. Jasper never recovered from the Indian attack 10 years earlier and died in October 1875. 35 years after the attack, a Casper, Wyoming news article reported seeing a blonde-haired and blue-eyed woman living amongst the Arapaho on the Wind River Indian Reservation. The article was seen by one of the Fletcher boys, who contacted his older sister, Mary. Mary contacted the reservation agency, and in 1902 she traveled to Casper, where she was able to reunite with her baby sister. Lizzie didn't speak English and had no memories of anything other than growing up Arapaho, and as such, refused to lead the only life she knew.
If you enjoy sitting around the campfire with us and digging into true Western history, please like the video, comment, and subscribe. And if there's a story or place you'd like us to explore next, let us know in the comments. Because out here, the story never really ends.